Good morning Year 3 and welcome to Thursday's maths lesson where we continue to learn about mass. We are learning to compare masses in grams today, but first of all let's look at the answers to yesterday's task. So I started off by asking you to tell me the mass of a sandwich and a muffin, and we had two scales, two measuring scales where the scales were different on the face, so you had to look at what each line meant and work it out, and hopefully you'll have come up with the answers. 160 grams for the sandwich, 450 grams for the muffin. Then we had a couple of balance scales. Now you can see they are balanced, which means that the mass on each side is equal. So to work out the mass of the raisins, we add up the weights here. 5, 7, 9 grams is the answer. And again, balanced and equal, so 3 grams is the mass of the rubber. Then I asked you to fill in the numbers, the missing numbers on a scale. Hopefully you were able to work out that each section is 10 grams, and I'd given you 130 to start with. So 50 grams, 180, 220, 260, 350 and 410. Finally, we had a couple of unbalanced scales. I gave you the mass of the apple is 22 grams and the total on the other side is 13 grams. We need to make that equal. So to do so, you need to add 9 grams of weight to this side so that both sides weigh 22 grams. You could have added a 5 gram weight with two 2 gram weights to make the 9 grams, or 9 1 gram weights, number of ways that you could have chosen to do that. Finally, the mass of the pear is 12 grams, and on this side we have a total of 14 grams, so they are unbalanced. To make them balanced, there were two things you could do. You could add 2 grams in weight to the pear to make both sides 14 grams, or you could remove 2 grams from this side to make the mass of each side 12 grams. Well done if you did that. So on to today's learning. We are going to be comparing some fruit. This time we are comparing using the measurement grams. We've already carried something similar out earlier in the week when we were looking at kilograms, but we're looking at the smaller unit of grams this time. So we have 3 pieces of fruit on the scales. They are balanced, which tells you that the weight, the total mass on this side is the same as the mass of each piece of fruit. So pause the video for a second and perhaps write down what the mass of each piece of fruit is: the lemon, the orange and the lime. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see that the mass of the lemon was 13 grams, the mass of the orange is 23 grams, and the mass of the lime is 17 grams by adding up the individual weights on each side: 5, 10, 12, 13 and so on. Then I'd like you to look at which is the heaviest, which fruit is the heaviest and which is the lightest. Again, just take a second to work that out, and hopefully you will have worked out that the orange is the heaviest at 23 grams and the lemon is the lightest with 13 grams. So we can say that the orange is heavier than the lemon, the orange is heavier than the lime. There are a few permutations of that. You might want to write some of those statements out, which is lighter, which is heavier, heavier than and lighter than. I've got one here. The lime is heavier than the lemon, and then we can work out how much heavier by taking the mass of the lime, which is 17 grams, the mass of the lemon, which is 13, subtract, and we're left with 4, so the lime is 4 grams heavier than the lemon. If you wanted to work out the total mass of all 3 pieces of fruit, 13 grams plus 23 grams plus 17 grams. Have a go at doing that mentally. We see the answer is 53 grams. Total mass of the fruit is 53 grams. Now, if you couldn't do that mentally, or you were finding that a bit of a struggle, you could have added up all of these weights to help you: 5, 10, 17, 18, 20, etc. And that would have helped you, and you would have got to 53 grams just the same. And finally, we're going to order them, arrange them in order, beginning with the heaviest. So can you do that? And then come back and we'll check whether you've done that in the right order. So you would see that the heaviest at 23 grams is the orange. And then when we look at the next two pieces of fruit, 13 grams and 17 grams, the lime comes next, with the lemon at the end being the lightest at 13 grams. So on to today's task. We have some pieces of vegetables, cabbage, pumpkin, green beans and broccoli, and again on some measuring scales, but they've got different scales, so you'll really have to pay attention to what each unit is. And I'd like you to tell me the lightest and heaviest, arrange them in order of mass, beginning with the lightest. Tell me how much heavier the pumpkin is than the green beans, and how much lighter the broccoli is than the cabbage, and then complete these sentences using the word heavier or lighter. Finally, a bit of a challenge task. 3 sets of scales, 2 balance scales and 1 measuring scale. Tell me the mass of each of the objects, which is heaviest, which is lightest, and what's the difference between those two. And then we've got a few problems here for you to solve. The mass of the ruler is what fraction of the mass of the pencil sharpener? Total mass of the objects, and then complete a sentence using heavier or lighter. Now I'm going to give you one hint, and that is that you need to read the scales carefully and just pay attention to what it is you're being asked to measure. And hopefully you'll pick up on that now. I've given you a hint, and I'll come back to you with the answers tomorrow. Good luck.